Hello friends, I am back with a brand new session of chemistry for you. This time it is electrolysis. Okay, now before we begin electrolysis, I am sure by now you must have completed the backlog of all the earlier topics both in chemistry as well as biology. Okay, and just one announcement for the Pawar school students. I have already completed electrolysis with you, so you have to treat this as a revision lecture, and whatever homework I'll be giving in the session, just see if you have done it. If not, then you please do it. Okay, so we'll begin with this chapter, that is electrolysis. Now the word electrolysis, yes, if we divide the word electrolysis into two parts, electro and lysis. Electro means pertaining to electricity, that is flow of electrons, and pertaining lysis means pertaining to, or it is the breakdown. So it is a breakdown of a chemical substance by the use of electric current. So if we have to define this phenomenon of electrolysis, so electrolysis is the chemical decomposition of a substance either in the fused or the melted state or in the aqueous solution state to form ions which get discharged as neutral atoms at the respective electrodes. Okay, slightly lengthy definition but important. We'll see the definition again. Electrolysis, it is the process of decomposition of a chemical substance. Now this substance has to be in what state? Either the fused means what? Melted state, okay, or in the aqueous solution state. How? By the passage of electric current to form what? To form ions. And what happens to these ions? These ions will get discharged as neutral atoms at the respective electrodes, that is the cathode and anode. Okay, now coming back to the definition, just have a look here. Now we will revisit the definition. Electrolysis, it is the decomposition of a chemical substance. So sodium chloride is a chemical substance either in the fused or the aqueous solution state. Now fused and melted means the same. Okay, so here we have taken sodium chloride in the fused state or the melted state by the passage of electric current, yes, to form ions. So these are the ions which are formed, cation and anion, which get discharged as neutral atoms. This is sodium atom, this is chlorine atom, which will get discharged as neutral atoms, yes, at the respective electrodes. So at cathode, you can see the cations are gaining electrons and forming the neutral atom, and at anode the chloride ions are losing the electrons and forming the neutral atom. Okay, so is the definition clear? Definition is very important. Now you all know in 9th standard we have discussed oxidation and reduction on basis of electrons. Oxidation, you know, is the loss of electrons and reduction is the gain of electrons, right? Yes, so if you observe here, in the process of electrolysis at the cathode reduction is taking place, yes, because the cations are gaining the electrons, and at anode oxidation is taking place because the anions are losing the electrons. So this electrolysis is a chemical change which is also termed as a redox reaction. So sometimes they will ask you to justify, give reasons or justify the following statements. Electrolysis is a redox reaction. So when such a question is asked, you have to take any example and show like this. So you can take example of sodium chloride and show that at cathode reduction, at anode oxidation, so it is a redox reaction, means oxidation and reduction is taking place simultaneously. Such a reaction, you know, is called as a redox reaction. Okay, clear? So is the definition clear? It is important. It is the chemical electrolysis is what? Chemical decomposition of a substance in the fused or the aqueous solution state by the passage of electric current to form ions which get discharged as neutral atoms at the respective electrodes. Okay, clear? Now we will discuss a few more terms related to this phenomenon of electrolysis, like electrolyte and non-electrolyte. Now if you see here, electrolyte and non-electrolyte. Now electrolyte is a chemical compound, yes, which will allow the electric current or which will allow electricity to pass through it, or which will conduct the electricity either in the molten or the fused state or the aqueous solution state by the passage of direct electric current through it. Yes, that is an electrolyte. And non-electrolyte naturally will be a chemical substance which will not conduct electricity either in the fused melted state or in the aqueous solution state by the passage of direct electric current through it. Okay, so this allows and this does not allow. Now an electrolyte, examples of electrolyte, or electrolyte is always a electrovalent compound. Now I hope you remember what is an electrovalent compound. Yes, very good. We have discussed in chemical bonding electrovalent compounds, the ones which are formed by the transfer of ions. Yes, very good. Yes, and non-electrolyte will be always a covalent compound, ones which are formed by sharing of electrons. Okay, so electrolyte is always an electrovalent compound and non-electrolyte will be a covalent compound. Now the particles of the electrolyte in solution, meaning when you put that electrolyte in water, what kind of particles will be present? It will show ions as well as ions and molecules. And non-electrolyte, it generally shows only molecules. Yes, why? Because it is made up of covalent compounds and covalent compounds exist as molecules. Yes, this also we had discussed in chemical bonding in comparison of electrovalent and covalent compounds. Okay, so examples of electrolytes, can you give any examples of electrolytes? Yes, very good. Sodium chloride, then calcium chloride or magnesium chloride, then all your acids, dilute HCl, H2SO4, HNO3, then sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, all are electrolytes. And non-electrolytes will be all your covalent compounds, especially the non-polar covalent compounds will be non-electrolytes, like you have methane, carbon tetrachloride, sucrose, glucose, then pure water, all will be non-electrolytes. Okay, clear? So is this concept clear of electrolyte and non-electrolyte? Now coming to what is called as a strong electrolyte and a weak electrolyte. Okay, now strong electrolyte will be the one which will allow a large amount of electricity to flow through it. Okay, it will allow a large amount of electricity to flow through it. Weak electrolyte will be the one which will allow only a small amount of electricity to flow through it. Okay, now you have to understand that a strong electrolyte will undergo complete dissociation. Do you remember what was dissociation? This we discussed in this was the last point in the chemical comparison of the properties of electrovalent and chemical covalent compounds. Yes, strong electrolyte will be completely dissociated, means it will undergo complete dissociation in aqueous solution to form a large concentration of the ions, complete dissociation. And weak electrolyte undergoes only partial dissociation in the aqueous solution to form a low concentration of ion. So because of that, what will happen, since this is undergoing complete dissociation, the particles in solution will be only ions, because that entire electrolyte has got dissociated into the ions. Okay, now in this case since it's a weak electrolyte and it is undergoing what, partial dissociation, so it will show both ions as well as molecules in the solution. Ions of the electrolyte and unionized molecules also will be present. Okay, clear? So that is the third point of differentiation. And the fourth point is strong electrolyte will allow the bulb to glow brightly and weak electrolyte allows the bulb to glow dimly. Now that I will just explain with reference to this diagram here. Just have a look at the diagram. Now this depicts a typical electrolytic assembly. Okay, so what it consists of, just see, this is a electrolytic cell which is generally a non-conducting vessel. Okay, now immersed in this electrolytic cell, these are the electrolytes. This is the electrolyte. Now we have taken the electrolyte in the aqueous solution state here. Okay, you can take in the fused state also. Now immersed in the electrolyte are what, the electrodes. This is the anode, this is the cathode. Anode is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, you can see here, and cathode is connected to the negative terminal of the battery. And this is the bulb in the circuit and this is the switch, is to close and to open the circuit. Okay, so when you close the switch, that is when you close the circuit and you allow electric current to pass through it, if you have taken a strong electrolyte here, strong electrolyte like say you have taken sodium hydroxide solution here, so what happens once the current is getting conducted, so this bulb here is going to glow brightly. Okay, so strong electrolyte, this bulb will glow brightly. If you take a weak electrolyte like say ammonium hydroxide is a weak electrolyte, so what will happen, this bulb is going to glow dimly. And if you take a non-electrolyte will be what, your CCl4 or methane, then this bulb is not going to glow at all. Okay, clear? So questions based on this diagram also are asked, like you can be asked to label this this is the anode, this is the cathode, the electrolyte, electrolytic cell, bulb, battery, switch, and ask questions like, if the electrolyte is a strong electrolyte, what will be observation, weak electrolyte, non-electrolyte, such questions are asked. Okay, is it clear? So that was about the strong and weak electrolyte. Now coming to the next, that is anode and cathode. Okay, now anode, as you can see, they are electrodes. So anode is the electrode which is connected to positive terminal of the battery, right? And cathode is the electrode connected to the negative terminal of the battery. Now you know that cations migrate to the cathode and anions migrate to anode. So you can see here the anions are going to the anode and cations are going to the cathode. So your second point, you can write that the anions migrate to the anode and cations migrate to the cathode. Okay, now what is happening at the anode and cathode? At cathode, the cations are gaining electrons and getting reduced. So reduction takes place at cathode, and at anode the anions lose electrons and are getting converted to neutral atoms. So at anode oxidation is taking place. So that could be your third point of differentiation, that at anode it is oxidation and at cathode it is reduction. So the fourth point follows this, that is cathode is called as the reducing electrode and anode is called as the oxidizing electrode. Okay, clear? So you have to be clear with your concepts of electron loss and electron gain. Loss of electrons is what? Oxidation, and gain of electrons is reduction. Yes, if you are not clear, you just go through the 9th standard notes where we have discussed many equations related to oxidation and reduction. Okay, clear? So these are the 4 points related to the difference between anode and cathode. Clear? Now next is cation and anion. Now cation, as you already know, cation is positively charged and anion is negatively charged. So ions, basically you have to remember, they are either atoms or groups of atoms, yes, which are carrying some charge, and this charge could be either positive charge or negative charge, right? So cation is what? Positively charged, and anion will be negatively charged. Now we have to see the difference from point of view of the cation and anion. So you will say that cations migrate to cathode, anions migrate to anode. Then the cations gain electrons and get reduced at the cathode, anions lose electrons and get oxidized at the anode. Okay, clear? So these differences are very simple provided you understand it properly. There is no need to actually literally by heart the differences. It's more of understanding. Clear? So cation and anion, at least 2 points each you have to know for all these differences. Okay. So I want you to keep your PDF of electrolysis which has been uploaded handy with you. That is page 123 of the electrolysis chapter. You please keep it handy. In between we will refer it for some notes and some question answers. Okay. Now coming to the next one, that is electrolytic dissociation and ionization. Now this is very important. This we had discussed in chemical bonding also. Electrolytic dissociation and ionization. What was the difference? Yes, dissociation is always taking place in electrovalent compounds, right? And ionization takes place always in covalent compounds. And dissociation, it is the just the separation of ions which are already present in an ionic compound. Like say you take sodium chloride. It is an electrovalent compound, right? It is made up of what? Sodium ions and chloride ions. Okay, and there is a strong electrostatic force of attraction between these ions. So when you are putting it in water, it is just the separation of these ions. Ions are already present in the in that compound. Okay, so that is dissociation. And ionization is taking place in covalent compounds. So it is the first formation of the ions and then their separation. Okay, like HCl. So HCl is formed by the transfer of by the sharing of electrons. So it is a covalent molecule. So it doesn't exist as ions. Only when you put it in water, first ions will be formed and then it will be separated because of the high dielectric constant of water. Okay, all this we have already discussed, but this is again important. Okay, electrolytic dissociation and ionization. So now I want you to open to page 124 of the page 123 of the PDF of electrolysis. Is in that the first question is define electrolysis. Yes, first question is define electrolysis. Now in that, this particular example has been given of sodium chloride. There at cathode, yes, at cathode, under that it is written positive electrode. So just make that correction. Cathode is the negative electrode, yes, okay, it is attached to the negative terminal, so it is a negative electrode. So just cancel that, it is a correction, okay. Now there itself, second question is differentiate between electrolyte and non-electrolyte. So just now I have explained you, yes, what the difference is between electrolyte and non-electrolyte, okay. So electrolyte, chemical compounds which conduct electricity. Just see on page 123, we will just refer to that question. Electrolytes are chemical compounds which conduct electricity in the fused, molten or in the aqueous solution state and undergo chemical decomposition due to the flow of electric current through it, yes, are called electrolytes. And non-electrolytes, chemical compounds which do not conduct electricity in the fused, molten or in the aqueous solution state and do not undergo chemical decomposition due to the flow of electric current through it are called non-electrolytes. Okay, clear? Then electrolytes are always ionic compounds and non-electrolytes are covalent compounds. Then third point, turn to the next page, that's page 124. Particles in the electrolyte are ions only or ions and molecules. Now why both ions only and ions and molecules is related to that strong and weak electrolyte which I have explained. And particles in the non-electrolytes are molecules only. Okay, clear? Now these examples are important because many times in the question paper examples are asked in the sense which of the following is an example of a strong electrolyte or which of the following is an example of a weak electrolyte. Such questions are asked. So you have to be aware of all the examples. So electrolytes will be dilute HCl, HNO3, H2SO4, then alkalis like KOH, NOH, then salts like lead bromide and copper sulfate. And non-electrolytes are pure distilled water, alcohol, kerosene, carbon disulfide, liquid CCl4, sucrose and glucose. Okay, clear? So that is electrolyte and non-electrolyte. Then next was strong and weak electrolyte. So turn on the same page, that's 124. Strong electrolytes, electrolytes which allow a large amount of electricity to flow through them and hence are good conductors of electricity. Okay, and weak electrolytes will be, we allow small amounts of electricity to flow through them and hence are poor conductors of electricity. Then second point, they are almost completely dissociated in the fused or aqueous solution state, and weak electrolytes are partially dissociated in fused or aqueous solution state. And third point, the solutions contain only free mobile ions, and here the solutions contain ions as well as unionized molecules. And the fourth point was with reference to the bulb. Strong electrolytes allow the bulb to glow brightly and weak electrolytes will allow the bulb to glow dimly. Okay, clear? Now examples again very important. Dilute HCl, H2SO4, HNO3, HBr and HI. Then NaOH, KOH and LiOH, that's lithium hydroxide. Salts like NaCl, KCl, Na2SO4, NaNO3. Copper chloride, lead sulfate, lead nitrate, lead bromide and AgI. And weak electrolytes, all your organic acids, yes, acetic acid, oxalic acid, formic acid, bases like ammonium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, salts like Na2CO3, sodium bicarbonate, sodium oxalate, sodium formate, all are weak electrolytes. Okay, is it clear? So the remaining questions also, that is anode and cathode, cation and anion, they are quite simple, so you can go through that. So this will be your homework, yes, what all questions I have written them is your homework from this session. Now continuing with the next, that is what is called as compare metallic and electrolytic conduction. Okay. Now this is again very important. Metallic conduction in the sense, it means metallic conduction is related to the metallic conduction is in relation to say a metallic wire like a copper wire or a nickel wire, yes, and electrolytic conduction means it is related to the electrolyte like copper sulfate solution or nickel sulfate solution. So how do you compare the flow of electricity through a metal wire and through a electrolyte? So these points of differentiation are very important. Now a metallic conduction or through a copper wire. The flow of electricity is always through flow of electrons which have negligible mass, right? And here the flow of electricity is by the flow of ions which have a considerable amount of mass, or rather they are denser than the electrons. Now in metallic conduction there is no chemical decomposition of the wire or the metal. Yes, the metal remains as a metal only. Like when you are passing say electricity through a copper wire or nickel wire, nothing is happening to the wire, right? It is only conducting the current. Whereas in case of an electrolyte, when you take say copper sulfate or nickel sulfate solution, there is chemical decomposition of that substance. Okay, so chemical decomposition is taking place and new products are being formed. Here no new products are formed. Then third point you have to remember is that metallic conduction is the wire can conduct electricity in the solid state and in the fused state, means melted state, but not in the solution state. Whereas electrolytes are what? They can conduct electricity only in the fused and in the aqueous solution state, never in the solid state. Yes, I hope you remember we have discussed this in the in chemical bonding chapter also, okay, in the differences. And lastly, there is no transfer of matter in metallic conduction, whereas in an electrolytic conduction there is transfer of ions and new substances will be produced. Okay, so total there are 4 points for the metallic and electrolytic conduction. Yes, we will read it shortly from the PDF which has been already uploaded. Yes, and before that we will just have a look at the next part. Okay, yes, so the next question is, just have a look here, give reasons. Solid sodium chloride is a non-electrolyte. Now some of these we have already discussed in chemical bonding, but they are again included in the syllabus under electrolysis also. So you know that sodium chloride is made up of oppositely charged ions, the Na plus and the Cl minus ions. Now in the solid state, these ions are held together by strong electrostatic forces of attraction. So free ions are not available to conduct electricity, so it is a non-electrolyte. Okay, so this also is part of your homework. Then sodium chloride in the fused or in the aqueous solution state conducts electricity. Sorry. So in the fused state, what is happening? Sodium chloride, you are providing heat energy. So that heat energy is overcoming the electrostatic forces of attraction and the free ions become available. So it can conduct electricity. And in the aqueous solution state, what happens when you add sodium chloride in the aqueous solution state? Water is present. Yes, aqueous solution means you are preparing the solution in water, right? So water is having a high dielectric constant. So that water is going to overcome this electrostatic force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions. Yes, that is one way of writing the answer. Or you can also say that water is a polar covalent solvent, so it undergoes charge separation. Because it undergoes charge separation, what happens? Oxygen will develop a negative charge and the 2 hydrogen atoms develop a positive charge. So the positively charged hydrogen will pull the negatively charged chlorine atom, and negatively charged oxygen will pull the positively charged sodium ions. That is another manner of writing the answer. Either way is correct. Okay. So either you can be asked just the fused state or aqueous solution state. Okay. So this is done. Then the third is ammonia and hydrogen chloride in the gaseous form are non-electrolytes, but in the aqueous state they conduct electricity. Now do you remember what kind of compounds are ammonia and hydrogen chloride? Yes, very good. They are polar covalent compounds. So they are polar covalent compounds, means they will exist as what? Molecules. So in the gaseous form, since they exist as molecules, free ions are not available, right? So it is a non-electrolyte. But the moment you put them in water, again the dielectric constant plays a role here and ions will be formed. So because free ions are available in aqueous solution, they will conduct electricity. Okay, so with that we complete these give reasons. Okay, now whatever questions I had put on the earlier slide, Yes, that is define electrolysis. All that is part of your homework. Yes, define electrolysis, then differentiate between electrolyte, non-electrolyte, strong and weak electrolyte, cathode, anode. So I want you to refer to the PDF page number 123 to say 125, 126. All the answers are there in the PDF. So please note down all those answers, and if you have any doubt, as usual, you have to forward on WhatsApp. Okay. So happy studying, stay safe and healthy in the house. Thank you.